Beyond the charted expanses of the Milky Way, nestled between the arms of a dormant spiral galaxy, lay the desolate planet of Jarakiv. Cloaked in perpetual twilight and shrouded in dense nebular mists, this world was avoided by starfarers. Its atmosphere was thick with legends and warnings. At the heart of Jarakiv were the ancient ruins known as the Vaults of Silence, a complex of dilapidated structures and forgotten technologies, guarded by time-worn statues of the mythical sentinels who once ruled these lands. The most formidable tale associated with Jarakiv was that of the dragon, a creature of immense cosmic power and enigmatic origin. Described in myth as a behemoth cloaked in starlight, with eyes like black holes and a roar that could shatter planets, the dragon was both revered and feared. Ancient texts, predating even the oldest known civilizations of the Galactic Federation, spoke of a time when the dragon roamed the cosmos freely, its mere presence bending the laws of reality and leaving a trail of altered destinies. Such power could not roam unchecked. The legends told of an alliance of ancient beings, each a master of their own slice of the universe, who came together to confront the dragon. Unable to destroy such a force, they instead chose to imprison it, constructing an elaborate cell deep within the Vaults of Silence. This cell was no ordinary prison. It was an intricate labyrinth of energy fields and temporal locks, designed to keep the dragon suspended outside of time itself. For 1,238 years, the cell remained sealed, untouched by the ravages of time and ignored by the sentient races of the galaxy. The Galactic Federation, the modern coalition of allied systems, deemed the planet off-limits, ensuring that the dragon's prison was not disturbed by either the curious or the foolish. Navigation charts redirected pilots away from the planet, and automated defense systems deterred unauthorized approaches. However, the cell that held the dragon was more than a means of containment. It was a nexus of untapped energy potential. It was said that the cell itself harnessed the very essence of the dragon, siphoning off power that could theoretically fuel civilizations or devastate them, depending on its application. This untapped power was a siren call to those who craved energy sources, as the galaxy's reserves dwindled and the need for new power became desperate. Captain Alara Marek, a seasoned officer of the Galactic Exploration Fleet, found herself intrigued by the mysterious potential of Jarakiv. Her career had been built on tackling the impossible and exploring the unexplored, and the secrets of the dragon's prison promised the discovery of a lifetime. When the Galactic Federation's High Council received an encrypted message hinting at the possibility of harnessing energy from the cell, the decision was made. Against a backdrop of political pressures and energy crises, they tasked Captain Marek with leading an expedition to uncover the truths buried on Jarakiv. As her ship, the Halcyon, prepared to depart from Federation space, Captain Marek gathered her team, a mix of scientists, engineers, and historians, each expert in their field yet unaware of the full extent of the dangers they would face. Together, they set a course for Jarakiv, driven by duty, curiosity, and an unspoken fear of what might wake should they fail to tread carefully among the echoes of cosmic power. The journey was as much about braving the unknown as it was about confronting the myths of the dragon. As Jarakiv loomed closer on their navigational screens, each crew member felt the weight of history pressing upon them, aware that the planet they approached was more than a mere point in space. It was a crossroad in time, where past and future were inexorably linked by the legacy of the dragon. Captain Alara Marek studied the holographic displays that flickered with celestial data as the spaceship Halcyon cut through the vacuum of space, its engines humming with a steady thrum of power. The crew's morale was a mix of anticipation and apprehension, each member quietly mulling over the historical significance and potential dangers of their destination. The mission to Jarakiv was unlike any other task, not just with exploration, but potentially unlocking a source of energy that could change the dynamics of power in the galaxy. Alara convened her core team in the briefing room, a stark, utilitarian space designed for clarity and focus. Talos, the cyborg engineer with his mechanically enhanced intellect, was reviewing the ancient schematics of the prison's technology they had managed to gather from decrypted archives. Kira, the team's biotic scientist, was already theorizing about the types of energy they might encounter, her mind buzzing with biological implications and safety protocols. Jax, the historian, was deep into translating the last pieces of mythic text, his telepathic abilities helping him grasp the nuanced emotions embedded in the ancient writings. The Vaults of Silence, Jax began, his voice steady, were named not just for their quietude but for the secrets they keep. Our texts suggest that the dragon's cell is at the nexus of the ruins, a central hub from which all power within the vault flows. It's said to be alive, in a sense, a living prison that adapts and responds to intrusions. Talos chimed in, his voice modulated to a calm, almost serene tone. The technology surrounding the dragon's imprisonment is beyond anything we've encountered. If I can interface with it, there's a chance we can siphon off some of the energy. It's a delicate operation like performing surgery on a living creature you've never studied before. Kira looked up from her data pad, her expression one of cautious intrigue. We need to consider the biological impacts. If this energy is as potent as we suspect, exposure could have unforeseen effects on organic matter. I'll need to set up containment protocols and ensure all crew members have their bio-shields activated at all times. Elara listened intently, weighing each point. Our approach must be methodical. This mission isn't just about harnessing energy. We're stepping into a place that's steeped in history and danger. We respect the power we're dealing with, and we take no unnecessary risks. As the briefing concluded, the team dispersed to prepare, each member lost in their own thoughts and tasks. Elara stayed behind, staring at the star map where Jarakiv was marked with a red. She felt the burden of command more acutely than ever, aware that the decisions she made in the coming days could affect not just her crew, but potentially millions of lives. The journey to Jarakiv took several days, time which Elara used to drill her team on emergency procedures and review the mission objectives with obsessive precision. As they entered the outer reaches of the planet's atmosphere, an eerie silence enveloped the ship, the stars dimming as if bowing to the ancient power hidden on the surface below. Landing procedures were executed with military precision, the Halcyon touching down on a flat expanse near the ruins. The landscape was bleak, the ruins a silhouette against the planet's weak sunlight, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper warnings. As they suited up and prepared to step out onto the surface of Jarakiv, Elara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. She turned to her crew, her voice firm yet encouraging, "This is it, team. Let's uncover the secrets of the past and bring back something extraordinary. Stay sharp, stay together." With a final check of their gear, they stepped out into the ruins, moving towards the heart of a mystery that had waited 1,238 years for them. As they approached the entrance of the Vaults of Silence, the weight of uncounted ages watched them from the shadows, the legacy of the dragon looming as large as the legends that had captivated the galaxy for over a millennium. The Halcyon's crew trudged through the muted landscape of Jarakiv, their footsteps muffled by the thick mist that clung to the ruins like a shroud. The air was thick with a latent energy that made the hairs on the back of their necks stand on end. The entrance to the Vaults of Silence loomed before them, an ancient archway carved with symbols that hummed with a faint luminescence, reacting to their presence. Jax, the telepathic historian, paused at the threshold, his eyes closed as he reached out with his mind, trying to pierce the veil of centuries. "The legends didn't exaggerate," he murmured, opening his eyes, which now reflected a deep understanding. "There's a sorrow here, a mourning for freedom lost. The dragon's essence permeates every stone." Kira, her biotic sensors deployed, cataloged the ambient energy levels, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The energy here is unlike anything I've recorded before. It's almost alive, reacting to our biosignatures." She adjusted her instruments, her movements precise and deliberate. Talos, ever the engineer, was fascinated by the architecture itself. "This isn't just a prison, it's a power conduit. Look at the alignment of the structures. They channel energy towards the center." He pointed towards the heart of the ruins, where the cell was purported to be. Guided by their respective expertise, the team ventured deeper into the vaults. The corridors twisted and turned, the architecture a labyrinthine puzzle that seemed designed to disorient and dismay. However, the deeper they ventured, the clearer the path became, as if the vaults themselves were guiding them to the heart of the mystery. As they reached the central chamber, the air vibrated with a palpable intensity. The chamber was vast, the ceiling lost in darkness, the walls lined with more glowing glyphs. In the center stood the cell, a towering structure of unknown metal and shimmering energy barriers. It pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of a slumbering beast. "This is it," Alara breathed, her voice a mix of awe and fear. She approached the cell, her crew close behind. The energy field around the cell shimmered, reacting to their proximity. Talos stepped forward, his tools ready. "I'm going to try to interface with the system. We need to understand how the energy is being contained and if it's possible to safely extract it." With careful movements, Talos connected his equipment to the alien console that appeared to control the barriers. The device accepted his connection, interfaces whirring as ancient systems awoke from their long slumber. The glyphs on the walls began to shift, forming new patterns, a story unfolding in light and shadow. Jax translated in real time, his voice filled with excitement and caution. "It's recounting the imprisonment. The ancient beings knew they couldn't kill the dragon, feared its resurrection would bring ruin. So they bound it here, using its own energy as a lock. But there's a warning dash." A sudden surge of power interrupted him. The cell's barriers flickered, and the ground trembled. Kira's reading spiked. "The energy levels are off the charts. Talos, whatever you're doing, it's waking something up." Alara signaled Talos to pull back. "Steady, everyone. We don't want to release whatever's in there until we understand the consequences." But even as she spoke, the pulse of the cell quickened, and a deep, resonant sound filled the chamber, like the breath of a giant beast. The team stood transfixed, caught between their mission and the growing realization that they were standing on the brink of something profound and possibly catastrophic. The chamber seemed to close in around them, the energy intensifying, whispering of power and imprisonment, freedom and destruction. As the barriers stabilized momentarily, they faced a decision point to delve deeper into the technology and possibly unleash forces beyond their control or retreat and report their findings for further analysis. The weight of history, the allure of discovery, and the potential for disaster mingled in the charged air of the chamber. Each breath they took a reminder of the thin line they walked between enlightenment and oblivion. The central chamber where the crew of the Halcyon stood was now alive with activity, pulsating with the power of the dragon's cell as it began to resonate with increased fervor. The humming energy seemed to be responding more actively to their presence, as if recognizing the intruders and contemplating its next move. The shimmering barriers oscillated between transparency and blinding brilliance, revealing fleeting glimpses of something vast and formless within. Talos, his hand steady despite the rising tension, continued to interface with the ancient console. "There's a feedback loop forming," he announced, his voice calm but urgent. "The system is trying to balance the energy influx we've triggered. It's not just containing the dragon, it's been siphoning and recycling its power." Kira's monitors beeped relentlessly, tracking the escalating energy patterns. "This structure isn't just technological, it's biological in a way. The energy it adapts and evolves. If we push it too hard, we might not be able to control the outcome." Jax, ever connected to the flow of historical and emotional currents, added, "The legends they spoke of the dragon's wrath, but also its wisdom. We must be cautious not to act out of mere curiosity or greed." Captain Marek nodded, her decision clear. "We halt all attempts to extract or interface further. Our priority now shifts to understanding and containment. We can't risk unleashing something we don't fully understand." But before Talos could disengage, the energy within the chamber surged, a brilliant light engulfing the cell. The barriers fell away, and the form within began to materialize, coalescing into a figure both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The dragon, a being of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and flowing, gazed upon them with eyes that held the depth of nebulas. "You seek to harness that which you do not comprehend," the dragon's voice resonated, not just in the chamber, but within their very minds. "Many eons have passed, yet the folly of ambition remains unchanged." Elara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the overwhelming presence before her. "We came seeking knowledge and power to help our civilization. If there are conditions for your release or for the use of your power, we will listen." The dragon regarded her, its form pulsating with a softer light. "Knowledge without wisdom is mere data, power without restraint is chaos. What assurance do I have that my release will not bring further destruction?" Elara responded without hesitation, "We will set safeguards, work with you to ensure that your power is not misused. We have learned much since the days of your imprisonment. Let us show you that we can be stewards of your legacy." The dragon seemed to consider her proposal, the energy around it swirling with contemplation. Then, it spoke again, "Very well. But know this, should the greed of your hearts overtake the wisdom you claim to have acquired, I shall return to my slumber, and this cell will be your galaxy's tomb." With a wave of its hand, the dragon dissolved the remaining energy barriers and stepped out of its ancient prison. The chamber's energy stabilized, the ominous pulse fading into a harmonious thrum. As the crew of the Halcyon watched, a rift in space opened before them. "Through this gate, you will find the tools to balance power with responsibility. Tread wisely, for each step will shape the fate of your peoples." The rift shimmered invitingly, a gateway to unknown realms and possibilities. Elara turned to her crew, a determined light in her eyes. "We proceed together, with caution and courage. This is our new mission, to explore these realms and ensure the safe integration of this power." As they stepped through the rift, the legacy of the dragon was no longer a tale of fear and imprisonment, but a new chapter of potential and responsibility. The dragon watched them depart, its form fading back into the energy of the universe, a sentinel once more. Oh,